In God we trust. That means so many things to a lot of people. What does it mean to you? In God. Who is God to you? Who is that higher purpose for you, that you get up in the morning and do the things that you do? Who it is that you trust? Who is in your sphere of who you spend time with? Who is it that inspires you? Why are we here, right? It's that age-long question that we ask about. There's something that, especially as we're on the doorstep of 4th of July and we're talking about freedom and trust. I mean, all of these things weave together to build the foundation of what it is that we believe in. It's so much powerful when, there's people that have died for our freedom and for those words to ring true for so many people of in God we trust, that we have the choice to believe what we want to believe. And one of the things that when, especially as entrepreneurs and, people who are doing a lot of things in the world, there's those times where we all need to have a little bit of support. And there's who's that higher being, who is that higher source that we look to really give us comfort and guidance. And that's different for a lot of people. And one of the things that I like to look at is, last month we were talking about networks, about who you're surrounding yourself with. So that goes perfectly in with spirituality, which is what we're talking about this month. Because in your spirituality, it's who lifts you up. Who is it that is in your circle that really inspires you? And for a lot of people, that can be different things in different places. And you can find that higher power and that higher sense of guidance when we just check in with ourselves and we see, because God is with us everywhere. Some people, that word triggers them. Sometimes for them it's, a higher source or a universal being. For me and my family, it's God. And whatever that is for you, identify who it is that lifts you up, who you can go to ask for those deeper questions. For me, when I was talking about, the network, about who you surround yourself with, well, in spirituality, one of those big things as well is, where do you go that lifts you up? Now, for me, I had a wonderful experience this morning going to my neighborhood gym, Fitness Quest 10, where I am lifted. And I kind of felt like the prodigal son in a way. It's been months since I've been in there. We all have health goals, and I've been on the road. And even though I walk and do some of the things when I'm not at the gym, there's something about being at my gym in particular, where I look at who I surround myself with. Walking in the door and seeing, the most inspiring person, Todd Durkin and, Julie Wilcox and Janet Bertrand. It's so amazing. Jeff King. These people are there not only to make people healthy, but to inspire people on a much deeper level. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Who is it that you trust? Who is it that are lifting you up on a daily basis? So another thing who I got to see when I was there is, because a lot of times what I do is I look at how is it that I'm inspired? How is it I look to when I don't always walk into a church to have my spirituality, but I feel that I know that I'm very blessed and that I'm very grateful for the life that I have, and I can turn to God at any moment and just really thank for my blessings and to ask for guidance. A lot of times when you don't have a direction, you don't know who to ask for guidance. And sometimes God comes through the people who are in our lives. So who are in your life that you can maybe ask for that guidance and who can serve you in a deeper way? So as I was leaving the gym, I saw, Pastor Gino Mingo. And one of the things that was so great is I just said, I actually had left the gym, and I walked back in to see him, and I just asked him, I said, I'm going to be talking to my friends today about spirituality. And what do you think would be a great message? I've got a lot of, high-achieving entrepreneurs that are doing a lot of things, but they want to also have, more harmony in their life. They want to live their spa life where they have accomplishment and harmony living together. What is the message that I can share with them today? Because we're talking about in God we trust and how we trust and look to God in a way that supports us. And so one of the things that he said is, be anxious for nothing. And in saying that, he said, peace is freedom from fear, anxiety, and worry. And I thought, wow, as we're talking about freedom and the 4th of July and really looking about who and what we trust, is that whole sense of being anxious for nothing. Now, when people are running around and have a lot on their plate and doing things, it may feel really overwhelming even to say that to not be anxious or worry or have, anxiety or things that are happening for you. However, when you come to the energy and you look to your higher source and your higher power and know that the message from him is to be anxious for nothing, then you can just put it into the hands of your higher power, take a deep breath, and then know that someone's got your back, that you can look to that higher source, and whether that is praying or meditating or being in an environment with people that inspire you, that is something that is really amazing to have. So I look at that as a blessing that was straight words from God to me. We are surrounded by blessings. We're surrounded by people that uplift us, that uplift us every day. And, it was just so great. It's a matter of just looking and really touching the people around us to ask for that support, to look at how we can grow as a spiritual being here, having a human experience. So one of the things I love is that, I have so many people around me that uplift me. And I'm going to tag Pastor Gino. He said it was okay to do that in here. Just so if you want to reach out to him, and if you would like to read more about that message about be anxious for nothing, it's actually in Philippians 4, 6, 7. So if you're someone who'd like to read more about that, if that's something that inspires you, that would be great. So, what does that mean? So today we're talking about what not only, in God we trust, but in spirituality, and what does that mean to you? And the first thing is, what does that mean to you, that higher power? And sometimes it starts with just yourself, going in within yourself and asking God to show up in your life. And, for me growing up, we went to a spiritual camp called Whispering Winds. And one of the things I loved about the name of that was that you could have connection with God in the whisper of the winds, that if you were quiet enough, that you were in nature. And I think that's why nature is such a spiritual thing for me, is because I feel like I can hear the words of God more in nature and in the whisper of the winds. And so for me, that's a spiritual experience to be able to have that. For my parents, they go to church, every morning, and that's where they get their spiritual food, their connection with God. And, a lot of people are on my parents' prayer list because they have such a high connection and such a wonderful relationship with God. And, for some of you, it may just be the practice of gratitude, of, counting your blessings and waking up every day with that positive foot on the ground. So really look today and examine, what is it that inspires you? What is your connection to your higher source? And even if maybe you haven't thought about it for a while, you can always start every day day new to start again. So, the second thing we look at when we're talking about in God we trust is, who do you trust? Who is in your life that you can trust? You look at who you can rely on, that building of faith, that sense of confidence that you can have when you have trust. And when you have that trust, God is just somebody that you can really rely on. And that a lot of people go, well, there's so many things happening in the world. Why would we have a God that would have some of the things that happened? And one of the things that has always come back around to me is some of our biggest challenges are actually a way for God to really have us tap deep within our soul to have the experiences that we are here to experience, that they can be lessons and directions that actually allow us to touch other people by our experiences. I know with some of the things that I've experienced in my life that it allows me, from the ways that I've grown from it, to then be able to reach out to other people and be that blessing to them. So the last thing is that freedom, right? As we are embarking so close to the 4th of July, where we celebrate freedom, that, freedom is the choice that we get to have here. And in what ways are we choosing to, live the life that we want to live? How is it that we want to trust? Who are the people that we are surrounding ourselves with? And how are we relying on that higher being, that higher purpose, that God, that energy that can really support us? Because, some days things can feel heavy, right? But we can choose to have that lightness, and having, someone who is that higher source, that higher being. I mean, you can just go out in nature and look around and see that we are being uplifted by a higher source. And that is something that I believe, that we are supported always, that we may not always see it, but when we take a minute, we take a deep breath, and we look around, we know that we're supported, that we just have to ask for that support and help. We have to just breathe into that knowingness that we are supported fully. And I love what Pastor Gino talked about, and that, freedom is that freedom from anxiety and worry and that heaviness that we have, and to be anxious for nothing. I love that. I want to leave that with you today, in that I'd love for you to share, what does that mean for you? In God, we trust. What is it that means to you? How has that supported you? What are you going to be doing for 4th of July tomorrow? What kind of celebrating what we get to enjoy here in the United States? It's just amazing what our freedom allows us to do. And I'm grateful and thankful for all of the people who have fought for our freedom, who have allowed us to really, pray to the God that we love, to really stand into our greatness and know that we're here for a bigger purpose. And if you maybe feel like you're not being supported or you're not a believer, look inside yourself and just see who is it that can support you. Who is it in your space? Maybe you don't have all the answers, but there's someone in your space when you look that can uplift you. And just trust in that. That may just be the next step for you in your experience of spirituality, is just trust, right? And so for many of us, it's in God we trust, but you have to step in one space, in one direction, and realize that there is a higher power that supports you here. And with that, I want you to enjoy this beautiful month. Really look deep in terms of what your spirituality is and embrace that. Embrace the life that we get to live, the blessing that we get to live, and surround yourself with the environments and people that really, really support you. So I just want to say I love you all. I love spending this time with you. If this is a message that inspires you, please share it. Please comment below. I love the connection that we get to have here. And because there's somebody that needs to have that connection with someone, I looked at it as it was the tap on the shoulder to me from God to turn back into the gym and talk to Pastor Gino this morning, to have that message to be able to share with you about be anxious for nothing. I know that will speak to somebody. It's a message that you need to hear. And all we need to do is just be present to the space, because God delivers messages in many different forms through many different people. We just have to be present enough to listen to it. So in this month of spirituality, I'd love for you to share, what is it that inspires you? What is it that feeds your soul? And what are the things that you are doing here that expands your spirituality and some of the communities that support you as well? I hope this is one of them that uplifts you each day. And as always, live your spa life. Bye for now.